And we're live. Hello, all, and welcome. And I am the Realist Philosopher, and this is the Realist Philosopher call-in show. I'm very, very sorry I'm starting so late today. Real life concerns interceded, and I really had no choice. Please keep in mind that on a rare occasion this might happen, maybe once or twice a month, but I will start the show. It's just, again, it might happen late. Completely outside of my control. Nothing I could do about it. It's called life. Sometimes these things happen. This isn't how I make a living, so I have no choice in the matter sometimes. You have to understand that. So I hope you're all doing good, fine, and well today. I'm doing meh. So. I hope, hopefully I'll feel better after I get a cup of coffee. Still a little too hot. My, oh my, oh my. A lot of crazy stuff going on. Let's just jump right into it without any preamble. Shall we? Okay, let's see. So this is a crazy story. I meant to talk about this before, sooner rather than later, but it just got glossed over. So a judge tells a banned drink driver, this is what they call it in the UK. They say D-R-I-N-K, drink driving. In America, we say drunk driving, D-R-U-N-K. One of those many tiny little differences between us and the Brits. Judge tells banned drink driver who caused massive crash, excuse me, still need more caffeine in my system to get my tongue and lips and shit to form the words correctly. I'd have jailed you, sister, if you were a man. Leave out the sister part, of course, and that's what she said. So, yeah, sexism, blatant sexism. Blatant as blatant could be. If you was a man, I'd have thrown you into slammer. But since you were a wayman, you get to go home and eat flapjacks and shit for breakfast. I wish this woman would eat shit and die. Apparently she was responsible for a lot of mayhem. Is that what they eat for breakfast? What are they eating breakfast for breakfast in fucking UK? Fish and chips? Nah, it's fish and chips or lunch, I guess. I don't know. Well, what are fish and chips? Fish and chips just like, that's what they call French fries. If you're thinking the chips in Britain are actual, like, potato chips, no, it's French fries. They call French fries chips. And the fish is just some... I don't know. It doesn't matter what kind of fish. It's just like a, how do they cook that shit? I don't know. They put some batter on it and they throw it in some oil, you know. So, that's fish and chips. What are they? They bangers? They have bangers? Is that what they call them? Bangers and black pudding and shit? Bangers. I think bangers are sausages. I don't know. Anyway. So a judge told a banned drink driver who smashed into 3 other vehicles that she would have been jailed if she were a man. Boy, oh boy. Judge Sarah Buckingham. She needs to be fired. She needs to be fired. I mean, come on. Usually you can't prove sexism, but this woman comes right out and says, you know, if you were a man, I'd have thrown the book at you because I hate men. We hate men. And there's a double standard in the justice system that goes harder on men than women. So the judge said alcoholic. Wow. And she's an ugly broad, too. Ugly broad. It's much easier to be sympathetic with good-looking broads. You ever notice that? Even with female judges, but especially male judges. Usually it's male judges, but, yeah. You ever notice that? The more attractive a woman is, the easier men tend to find it to be sympathetic. But women, too. How could you be sympathetic with this ugly broad? Jesus Christ. So the woman's name is Victoria Perret, P-A-R-R-Y, Perret, like thrust, reposit, Perret, weird fucking spelling for a name, would have been straight down the stairs to prison had her sex been different. Why? Why? Absurd. The 30-year-old, wow, she's 30. Damn, she is just old looking. Well, alcohol, right. The 30-year-old who already had 2 previous convictions. She's got a prior criminal record. No big deal. or drink driving was dragged from her Fiat Stilo after the car caught fire. Hey, you should have let her burn. She wants to kill herself anyway, following the pileup on the A46 last May. Tests showed she had almost three times over the drunk driving limit. Wow. Perret left with a considerable drink problem after a 15-year abusive relationship. Things are really different in the UK. 15-year abusive relationship. She's 30. Are you telling me she's been in the same relationship with the same guy since 15, and that for the entire time, including when she was 15, she was in an abusive relationship? I don't believe that. What kind of parents did she have? What am I saying? She probably had a single mother who also dated an abusive scumbag and thereby passed on to the daughter the idea that this is normal and this is the kind of man you should want. Yeah, okay. Yeah, she's also been banned from driving for 3 years in July 2015 for her second excess alcohol offense. I see. But after calling the case shocking, the judge delayed sentencing Perret for 3 months after she admitted a charge of dangerous driving. Why? You know, if this is a man, it wouldn't matter what you admitted. You go to prison. But the judges never admit it, you know. They're never, ever going to admit it. Well, almost never. Obviously, this is a rare case. But generally speaking, either the judge isn't aware of their bias, or if they are, they're not going to admit it like this broad. But, of course, there'll be no consequences, right? Because the UK, they hate men. And the judge said, if Miss Perry was a man, there's no question it would have been straight down the stairs to jail. Why? I don't understand. Is there there always seems to be this extra consideration where women are involved, where they take into account the fact that it is a woman and that somehow she's more fragile, and if she goes to prison, she won't be able to handle it. Prison's too much for a woman, so we want to take extra steps to make sure that women don't go to jail. It's too much for a man, too. I got news for you. Prison is no fucking... It's no stroll among the fucking roses for a man, either. Men get raped more than women if you include prison. Prison is not fun. But apparently, it is for men, because she sends them there a lot more. Prison's not fun, so I won't send you, Wayman, because you couldn't handle it. This is a shocking case of dangerous driving against the background of 2 previous convictions. But this offense was committed in May 2018. She isn't 18 and she's not been in trouble since. So, I mean, wow, you were literally looking for reasons to let this broad off the hook. So what? She hasn't been in trouble since 2018. What does that matter? I don't understand what that matters. What does that matter? It's irrelevant. She has clearly got an alcohol problem. She is, whether she admits it or not, an alcoholic. Yes, I want to help you. I want to try to rehabilitate you. And we know that the way our prisons are designed now don't rehabilitate people. They just create more criminals. They make people worse, not better. So we want to help the Wayman. We don't want to help the men, though. Oh, crash happened at around 6:50 p.m. on May 23rd after Perret... She certainly didn't Perret the car coming at her, that she was coming at. Oy vey. Overtook in the middle of the road in the face of oncoming traffic on the A46. Okay, so she crossed the lane and rammed into several other cars. Perret says she thought she was going to die. If only somebody would kill you, because I guarantee you this broad is going to kill some more people. She's going to kill some people. She didn't kill people already. This isn't saying whether or not somebody died. I'm guessing not, because they're not sending her to jail. And it said a charge of drink driving. So, very lucky she didn't kill somebody. But she will. She will. And she won't be happy until she does. Yeah. You know how she'll get clean? She'll go to prison. That's the ultimate detox, baby. In jail. Can't get your hands on any booze. Although, I think you can get your hands on heroin. And meth, and even cocaine. You can get your hands on pretty much anything in prison. But those are like small, right? Booze takes up a lot of space. I mean, you want to get a 5th of Jack Daniels. That's a big fucking bottle. So, yeah. Yeah. Of course, if she goes to prison, she'll just get hooked on drugs, right? She'll just substitute her alcohol addiction for a heroin addiction or something. Oh, boy. So, yeah, there you go. For those of you who were not believing me and others when they say that there's a bias against men in the Western justice system, there you go. Perfect example. Shocking. If you were a man, I'd send you to jail. So it's not that you're being penalized, essentially, for being a man. You're being penalized. I mean, maybe the light sentence is what you would give everybody if there wasn't this bias and irrational hate toward men. Maybe if that didn't exist, he'd get off for the slap on the wrist too, just like this broad did, because she hadn't been arrested since May 2018 or whatever. Or maybe they'd both go to the slammer. Who knows? Thanks to feminism, we may never know. I mean, I won't know. I'll be dead. Before feminism has run its course and burned itself out like most diseases do, or they kill you. Hard to know which will happen. But either way, it'll go bye-bye. At least in America, which will die, I think. I don't think the disease will burn itself out. I don't think it'll burn itself out like the flu or a cold would. I think it's more like an aggressive cancer, and America is in stage 4. And there's not going to be a remission. So, yeah. I think that the disease and the host will die. It's unfortunate. Anyway, so this next story's cuckoo, of course. I don't review too many non-cuckoo stories. So, I talked about slave reparations before, right? About how stupid it is to expect to pay people for shit that never even happened to them. My mammy was a slave. It wasn't even your mammy. It was your mammy's, right? Because these black people, they have kids real young, so yeah, lots of generations. How many? I don't know. Mammies. Mammy was a slave. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, so you deserve some free money. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. I've never understood why people don't understand that creating wealth is a skill, and it requires very specific criteria within a person to do. I don't get it. I mean, it's a skill to paint, right? I can't paint. I mean, if I tried to paint, I don't know what the hell it would look like, but it wouldn't look like anything you would recognize. It really wouldn't. So I don't get it. Why is it that people think that the skill, the ability to create wealth is any different than that? There's just not a lot of people out there that can do that. But I want wealth. Everybody wants wealth. Oh, well. Not everybody wants to paint, though. Oh, I see. I don't know how they think giving a bunch of money to a bunch of poor people is going to help. I mean, these people, what do you do with money? You used it to improve your situation by improving yourself, right? Black people get plenty of money. They get plenty of loans, government-guaranteed loans to go get higher education. What do they do with it? They study TV. Not TV repair even, which would actually maybe be useful, although these days you don't need that anymore because all the TVs now are these LED, high resolution, little tiny flat screens, and once they, they last for a long fucking time. When they burn out, you buy a new one. No more vacuum tubes, right? You're not repairing them anymore. So, but even at least that would be useful. Or that would have been useful 40 years ago, right? But of course now TV, like TV watching. Oh, how the hell that's a fucking subject? Gonna sit around and discuss how fucking stupid Homer Simpson is all day. Good God. But they don't study anything useful. And so how in the world is giving people with poor judgment and a lack of ability to create wealth going to help them create wealth? I don't understand. It's like giving a fucking toddler a bunch of fucking paints and brushes and say, paint me a fucking Rembrandt. Paint me the best piece of art on earth. Baby's going to be like, going to paint himself. Give me a break. All right. So Georgetown University could become the first college in the nation to mandate a fee to benefit descendants of slaves sold by the university nearly 200 years ago. Ay caramba! A debate that takes place against the backdrop of a broader political conversation unfolding on the 2020 presidential campaign trail about reparations. You know what this reparation stuff is? You know what I say? I say do it! Do it! Pay them the reparations. Why not tack another $1 trillion onto our debt? We're already in debt, what, 23 trillion? What's another fucking trillion? Hopefully this will teach people a broader lesson, not only about this reparations bullshit, but about socialism in general. Because just handing people free fucking money to improve their life that you've stolen from other people is the essence of socialism. Go ahead! Okay, now I've changed my tune. I want them to pay the reparations. Do it! Do it! See how little fucking good it does. It'll do nothing. In fact, it'll harm these people. I want you to do it. Go ahead. Well, none of these idiots that are advocating for this will get elected because there's still enough, reasonable people in America that they wouldn't vote for anybody that would advocate for this. Now, the black people will advocate for this, right? They've gotten used to getting free shit. And the Latinos, too, because, they like anybody that votes for something socialist, despite what Ben Shapiro says about, I don't care about the browning of America. I care about ideology. He doesn't seem to realize that, the race is closely linked to idiot ideology. He's too stupid to get that. People talking about how smart that Ben Shapiro is because he learned to play the violin. He was playing the violin at a very early age, and he played Schindler's List on a video. He's a prodigy. Why? Because we say so. He's a manufactured fucking shill. He's a manufactured shill. That's all he is. He's been pushed by the right since he was very young. He's no different than that David fucking Hogg, except a little smarter, okay? But not all that much. He's just a weaponized child. He was a weaponized child. He was writing shit when he was a fucking teenager and getting it published in conservative fucking publications. He's just a slightly more intelligent David Hogg. He's a shill of the conservative right, and they're not even conservatives, really. But they call themselves that, so people who are conservatives or who have a sympathy for conservatism or conservative leanings will listen to him, and then he tells them to do things that are against their best interest, essentially. And they listen because he's a conservative prodigy. Fuck off. Okay, the fucking caffeine's starting to get going. Okay. Mandate a fee. Okay. I want this to happen. Trump, pass reparations. Right, yeah. We don't want to build a wall, but we want to give $1 trillion to black people. Why? Because they're 13% of the population, and we want to keep them voting Democrat, right? That's all. You won't see any Republicans endorsing this. If you do, they're rhinos. They're not real Republicans. Yeah. So by almost a 2-to-1 margin, students approved the measure. Well, of course, they've been brainwashed, which still must be approved by the university to go into effect. It's mandated. Mandated? I would have a problem with it if it was voluntary, but at least that would be something. I mean, okay, voluntarism, fine, but mandating it? No. If I were Trump, I would take away their federal funding. That's what I would do. You see how long they mandate this shit? $27 a student. Give me a break. Benefit descendants of slaves sold by the university. How many people can that be? What if some of those people, I find it so interesting, what if some of those people who are related, who are direct descendants of people who were sold by this university 200 years ago, what if some of those people are doctors and lawyers and shit? What if they're really successful? Do they get some of the money then too? Even if they're successful, which disproves this whole bullshit narrative about systematic oppression that requires these people to get free money, which won't help them anyway, but it'll only harm them. Yeah. So the school's undergraduates voted Thursday on the referendum, which would increase tuition by $27.20 per semester to create a fund benefiting descendants of... because, they need help. Because black people are so poor and so pathetic, they need your fucking help, which is essentially what you're saying when you advocate for this kind of program. Benefit the descendants of 272 slaves sold to pay off the Georgetown Jesuits' debt, a move that saved the university financially. 272 slaves? Are you kidding me? That's it? You people are moaning and groaning and wringing your fucking hands and losing sleep for 272 fucking people who have been dead 200 years? Serenity now. Serenity now. Oh, my God. The results of the referendum are as follows. 66% for yes, 33% for no. Okay. Todd Olson, Vice President for Student Affairs, in a statement issued after the vote, lauded the students' efforts, saying the university values the engagement of our students and appreciates that 3,845 students made their voices heard in yesterday's election. Our students are contributing to an important national conversation, and we share the commitment to addressing Georgetown's history with slavery. History. Why don't we just go dig up the bones of the fucking Trojans, okay? And why don't we do some DNA tests, right? And run them through these fucking ancestry archives online and make the Greeks reimburse the Trojans. Because, they killed all the fucking Trojans. They genocided them, right? And took what remaining survivors there were as slaves. We need to make things right. Trojan reparations. What is this nonsense? Oh, that's too long ago. Well, wait a second. If that's too long ago, well, what is too long ago then? Well, 200 years isn't too long ago, but 2,000 is too long. By the way, Trojan War with the Greeks was longer than 2,500 years ago. But I think maybe you're getting my point here. What is the exact cutoff date? When do we stop being responsible for other people's shit? And see, this is how socialists think. They think collectively, okay? Socialism is all about collective thinking and as well about collective guilt. So it doesn't matter that these people have been dead for hundreds of years, the ones that owned and sold these slaves. Those who are directly descended from them are part of those people's collective, and hence they must reimburse the other people who are part of the collective of the oppressed. That supposedly I, as a white man, was the oppressor of. Yeah, okay. The university has vowed to carefully review the results of the referendum, and regardless of the outcome, will remain committed to engaging with students, descendants, and the broader Georgetown community in addressing its historical relationship to slavery. Why? Address the present. The past doesn't exist, you idiot. Matt Hill, the university's media relations manager, told ABC News in a statement. This is one of the reasons so many people are unhappy and depressed. They're living in different times. In a lot of ways, this is why poor people who have so much work, they don't get depressed. They don't have time. Depression is a luxury for the wealthy and the well-off, it seems. Even the poorest American is better off than fucking 90% of the rest of the world. What's poor in America is rich practically everywhere else, and the poorest person in America, so long as they're not homeless, is living better than kings did 100 years ago. Yeah, really poor people who got to work 2 fucking jobs, they got no time to be depressed. They're focused on the now. They're not living in the past or the future, which don't exist. Stop living in the past, black people. Maybe you'll get your shit together. Yeah, the Jesuits sold my family and 40 others, says some black girl. Okay, so what? Yeah, now you get to use that as an excuse to be a victim, right? Pathetic loser. Pathetic loser, says sophomore Melisande. Melisande? Weird name. Short Column. Oh, God. A Georgetown student said during a town hall to discuss the issue last week. How did you know? What did you do? What did you do? Did you put your fucking DNA into one of these ancestral fucking archives? So, you send it to one of these companies online and they process it and see if you have relatives. Yeah. Now you can cry racism. Now you can say that people have been racist toward you. You've been oppressed, even though you're at Georgetown University. Oh my God, this is so ridiculous. This is so stupid. Oh, boy. Oh, this is a long story. Long story. Got pictures of a lot of ugly mulattoes and black people who don't know what combs are and with their hair a foot deep. Just huge halo of hair around their head. Get a comb. Learn what a comb is. There's a reason you comb hair, okay? Combing hair, it redistributes oils from the root. It stimulates the release of more oils, gets out crap nits and lice and shit. You don't know what could be living in your hair, in that bird's nest. Wow, this thing is... I'm still scrolling down. All this time I've been talking, I'm scrolling. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? ABC News propaganda. Proper fucking ganda. How in the hell can you have 27 fucking pages? It's still going. About reparations. Give me a break. The slaves are all dead that white people own. You want to help somebody in the here and now? Put that money into a general pot to buy slaves from Libya to free them. You know, there's wonderful slave markets that were created by your heroes, you leftist scum. That being Obama and Hillary, who destroyed Libya and made it possible for the slave markets in Libya to open up anew. And you can go buy a black man for $300. Why don't you do that? Why don't you do something good with that money instead of giving it to some entitled cunt student at fucking Georgetown or some fucking black doctor? Some black doctor, okay? Who lives in $1 million home, but he's oppressed. Because one of his ancestors was a slave sold by Georgetown 200 years ago. Give me a break. Give me a break. Please. I think some of my ancestors were fucking poor potato farmers in Ireland on my fucking grandmother's side. Whoop-de-fucking-do. You're not bound to the fate of your ancestors. And you're not responsible for the sins of the father, okay? You make your own fate. There is no such thing as destiny. We have free will. I'm so tired of hearing about these bourgeois fucking intellectuals talking about fucking, we have no free will. There's no such thing as free will. Fuck you. Yes, we do. We have free will. We choose. You're responsible for your decisions, good or bad. But, you know, socialists don't like that. Having to be held accountable for our bad decisions. You know, we don't like that. No. Because that's saying it's not systematic oppression and racism and oppression that caused us to be losers. It's ourselves, which is the case. I'm sorry to say. Well, I'm not sorry to say. All right, let's move on, shall we? I'd really like to get another cup of coffee, but I wonder how many of you people out there would wait. You're going to wait. You're going to wait. I need the coffee. I've never done this before during one of these call-in shows, but I need the coffee. So you will wait. And if you don't like it, that's too fucking bad. Too bad. See, that didn't take very long, you impatient cunts. All right. Here I am, come back. By the way, Skype is open for any of you lazy people out there who thought about actually getting it. And my Skype is The Realist Philosophers. By the way, I'm on D-Live now. I don't know if anybody out there is watching on D-Live. I don't have the capability to check out the chat on D-Live while I'm streaming this. If anybody out there knows an app or some kind of program that would allow me to view the D-Live chat while I was on this stream, please let me know in the D-Live chat itself. Maybe post a link where I could download that. D-Live's a good platform, okay? D-Live is almost exactly like YouTube. It's very similar anyway. You can post videos. You can live stream to it. Now, you can't post videos directly, as in an upload, until you have 200 followers. So please go sign up for D-Live and follow me. It's a what is that fucking thing? The bit? I don't know what it's called. It's a it's a free speech platform in a sense. They don't have as much censorship, and I think that if enough people go there and join, it would be actual competition for YouTube. And that's what we need. We need competition because YouTube has too much of a stranglehold on the current narrative. they control too much of the narrative. And there's no competition, so they can pretty much do whatever they want. They can stifle your free speech. So that's why I went to DLive, and that's why I'm streaming on DLive right now, as well as other platforms. So please go and follow me there. And DLive also has monetization, so that, and it's anonymous, by the way. It's paid in the form of a crypto coin, so you can pay, you buy a certain number of crypto coins, and then you give them to content creators on DLive that you like. And there's various denominations. There's like a lemon, and I think the highest is a diamond. And each one is a certain amount of these coins. And so, you know, it's a good platform. And so, yeah, if you want to make like single one-time donations to me, please go there and follow me. The link is in the description. And also, you can go to my website, therealistphilosopher.com/donate. That's therealistphilosopher.com/donate, and make a donation there. So I could really use your help. All right, let's move on. This just gets weirder and weirder. Weirder and weirder. The attack on white people never seems to end. I mean, when we don't have any more money, or when we're gone, when we stop being productive, when the situation's gotten so bad in the West, all Western countries, that, you know, white people are marginalized, minority group that have all these restrictions and regulations put on them that nobody else has, and all these controls, and it's virtually impossible for them to make a good living anymore, then they'll stop vilifying us, right? All right, so listen to this. German parenting magazine warns that blonde and cheerful families are dangerous. This is a true story. Wait a second. Aren't there blonde and blue-haired people in Germany? So, of course, German magazine. For those of you who don't know, Hitler was very big about blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, which is interesting because he had dark hair and dark eyes, because, you know, Hitler hated himself. So anything that, he liked the exact opposite, right? So the most common is brown hair, brown eyes, so he hated that. Hated himself, liked the exact opposite, the most rare, which is blonde hair, blue eyes. And so he favored Germans who had that. And I guess the majority of Nazis were blonde hair, blue-eyed people. Certainly that was considered the best race, the best example of whites. So, of course, the Germans, with their self-hating guilt, have decided to bash blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. Yes, because, you know, they're socialists, these people, right? Anybody saying something stupid like this is a socialist. Well, you're blonde-haired and blue-eyed, so you have a collective guilt. There's a collective guilt attaching you to the blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. Well, you're white too. Yeah, but I'm not blonde-haired and blue-eyed. Okay. Boy, this identity politics really creates a lot of schisms. You can just continue dividing people into ever more fragmented groups. It'll never end. All right, so apparently German language publications have now begun to openly denounce the very concept of all white families as some sort of danger to the multicultural Marxist state. Well, yeah, because white people are very productive. They do very well. They don't need a lot of help from the state. They don't generally need the state, period. Yeah, that's a threat, because the state as it exists now only exists because of voters who vote it, the people within the state, running the state, into office. White people don't vote for people generally. I mean, you know, a lot of white people have changed their tune on this because they have become indoctrinated, but there's still plenty of white people who have right-leaning sympathies, who are more conservative, who will not vote for socialism at all. They don't need it. They can create their own quality lives. They don't need the state to take care of them. Well, for the state to get more power, they need ever more people who the state needs to take care of them, thereby empowering the state to take care of them more. The more people need to be taken care of by the state, the more powerful the state becomes. And it's the nature of government to want to accrue ever more power. Going so far as to claim that proper, diverse parents should always be on the lookout for blonde and cheerful families due to their propensity for right-wing politics and sense of racial identity. This sounds like Jordan Peterson talking. Are you sure Jordan Peterson didn't write this? I know a lot of you out there are fans of Jordan. You think he's some great guy. He's not a conservative, okay? He's a radical leftist, okay? In fact, he's very much, well, I don't know about radical, okay? He's a leftist, all right? You could say he's radical in his views, but not in his actions, okay? So, Jordan Peterson tries to portray himself as more a centrist or even somewhat leaning right, but he talks about a very limited number of things. His real view, though, is that the left is correct. They're just going too far with their radicalism in the form of their actions, right? Whacking people over the head with bike locks, beating people up who are wearing MAGA hats. That's not good. You need to stop that, left, because if you don't stop that, the real threat, which isn't you, of course, in your radicalism. Oh, no. The real threat, which is white people who have discovered their racial identity as white people will collectivize and rise up, and they're the real threat. That's what he believes. If you've listened to any of his content, you know this. He believes in white privilege. He's very much for white guilt, collective guilt. He's a leftist. He used to work for the UN. Come on. So, listen to this. And this filth is actually contained inside a magazine appealing to current and prospective mothers and fathers, with the ramifications of such an idea likely to include a higher degree of future race mixing. Feminist, that's because they want to get rid of white people, right? When they talk about equality, they mean getting rid of whites, okay? Because the other races can't compete on a level playing field except maybe Asian people, who they don't talk about, because it proves the whole bullshit about systematic oppression wrong in terms of oppressor, oppressed, minority groups, majority groups, because there's even less of them in America than black people, and they do better than whites. Anyway, so feminist abuse of little white children, the further dearth of human babies in a nation with one of the lowest birth rates in the entire world. Yeah, right. Which is how they've tried to justify bringing in all these black people from Somalia and Muslims from the Middle East. It never occurred to them that, hey, once your population dips to a certain amount, people start having babies again. See, here's how it works when your population is dropping. So what happens is that, yeah, your population drops. And what happens is, as your population drops, so too does the demand for goods and services. Hence, there's not as great a need locally, domestically, for goods and services, okay? But at the same time, this frees up a lot of goods and services, mostly goods, to be exported to other countries. So really, you'll have more goods to export, less people, which means higher demand, right, for the jobs that exist, because there's less people now to do them, and hence those jobs will pay more. Men will start making more, women will start making more, jobs will start paying so much that people will start to be able to afford to have families again. Pay will get so high that men will be able to go up to work and women will be able to stay home, because finally, it's gotten back to a point where you can have a traditional family again. Oh no, we don't want that. The left does not want that, okay? Traditional families, it's got to go the way of the fucking dodo, right? So as the population decreases, eventually labor will become scarce enough that it has a high value. And then white people will start to make more money and then have kids again. Okay, and then your population will start to increase again. People think that this decreasing population, we are below replacement rates, that's some kind of cataclysm. No. Population can't continue to increase exponentially forever. It's going to dip and ebb. It's going to go up and down like a fucking roller coaster, okay? But you're not going to depopulate to the point where there's no people. Again, it'll eventually reach a certain point where labor will have so much value that white people can afford to have families again. Oh, sure, it's easy for black and brown people and all of these, so-called refugees to keep popping out kids because the state is giving them all this free money. Meanwhile, white people ain't getting no help, so of course they're not having as many kids. It's just mind-boggling to me. That and this embracing of feminism and women going outside of the home and outside of their role as a mother and homemaker to find meaning and fulfillment in their life, these things combined have created this depopulation. But as I said, women are starting to become disillusioned with the whole feminist thing. Many are. And if you coupled that with a much higher wage for the man, people could live very comfortable lives like they used to in America, say, in the 1950s, where father went out and worked, and the mother stayed home and took care of the kids. And that would be viable again if you just let your population diminish. It's not the end of the world. And as for these, old people, what are we going to do about the old people who need the young people to subsidize them? Don't these old people have savings? Don't they have kids they can live with? What happened to generations, several generations living in the same home? You see, this push in the West to kick out the parents from the house, this is just another aspect of trying to depopulate white people. Do you really think that it's a coincidence that most other countries in the world have many generations living in the same house and that your parents live with you? But for some reason in the West, it's become common practice to kick your parents out. Hell, put them in a nursing home that costs $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. No! This is all by design, people. This is all by design. Don't you get it? All by design. I mean, you always hear them talking about, well, what are we going to do about the old people? We need to bring all these low-skill, low-IQ people in to replace the workers that we no longer have to support all of these baby boomers who are now retired. Because if we don't have the workers to pay the taxes and the Social Security to support them, they'll all die horrible deaths. They'll all starve. Now, why? Why? Why aren't they living with their kids? Why aren't they living with their kids? Why aren't they living together as a family? I mean, granted, my God, if I think back, good Lord, when my parents were still alive, I wouldn't have wanted them living with me. They could have went and lived with my fucking brother. But what I'm saying is that if you didn't have these kind of options being pushed, being propagandized, being indoctrinated into people as the preferable, as the new normal, people would find ways that were actually probably better for them, better for their family. I mean, the mother would have help, she'd have her grandparents, the child would have yet another generation, even older, to be there to give them wisdom and guidance. But of course, that would create an even stronger, more stable family unit, and we can't have that, especially not for white people. Yeah, okay. Unbelievable. Parenting magazine Baby and Family has told readers to beware families who are inconspicuous and cheerful, as these are warning signs that indicate they are right-wing and thus dangerous. Yeah. Sounds like it's Jordan Peterson talking here. Fear white people collectivizing in their own best interests. All right, the article goes on and on and on. I'm not going to read anymore. It's trash. Trash. Not worth any more of my time. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Oh, she's back in the news again. Oh, boy. Can't she stay out of the news? And I love how the left-wing pundits are talking about how people on the right are just obsessed with Horseface. They're obsessed with her. Hee-haw, hee-haw. Donkey face, those gigantic teeth. Yeah, we're obsessed. It couldn't be that she's always appearing in the fucking news and saying stupid shit, right? Couldn't be that she's a congressperson and, she's in the public eye, and when she says stupid shit, that's news, and hence people are going to talk about it. I mean, Jesus Christ, you people have spent 2 fucking years every motherfucking day going on about Trump-Russia collusion, and it turns out there was no collusion. But you're still talking about this shit. You got Cenk Uygur, chunky boy, still talking about this, doubling down. I don't accept defeat. There was collusion. Get me some bacon grease I can eat. Fat fuck. So, yeah. It's perfectly acceptable to talk about this broad because she keeps saying stupid shit. If she would stop saying stupid shit, she did one video on Instagram or something, or Twitter. I don't know where she was doing a video. I saw her eating some fucking popcorn. And she dropped the popcorn on the floor, and she picked the popcorn up and ate it. And she quoted the fucking 5-second rule. Give me a break. She's eating off her own floor while she's trying to put together IKEA furniture, and she can't figure it out. Isn't IKEA furniture like the easiest shit in the world to put together? It's just snap, snap, you're done, and it comes with easy directions. Do you even need screws and a fucking screwdriver? Don't you just snap together? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez faces backlash for scoffing that veteran Dan Crenshaw should go do something about terrorism. Oh, man. She's a lefty, right? So, she hates soldiers, right? You're part of the evil... She's so stupid. Yeah. God. All right. I can't stand this broad. Dan Crenshaw. Dan Crenshaw lost an eye. Okay? Fighting over there in the Middle East. Fighting terrorism. So he should go do something about terrorism. What? So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stuck her foot in her mouth defending virulent anti-Semite Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar, who is a Somali. Don't they have an average IQ of 70? Don't Somalis have an average IQ of like 70? How did this woman be... Probably another one of these social democrats, We're casting for a congressman. Can we get a congressman? We're casting for a Muslim congresswoman. We need a Muslim congresswoman, and she has to wear a hijab, too. Any takers? Ilhan Omar showed up for the casting call. So she criticized her outrageous comment about the terror attacks on 9/11. Ilhan Omar was criticized for that. Yeah, Ilhan Omar said that some people did something. Weren't they Syrian Muslims, or weren't they? They were Muslims, right? Some people. Some Muslim people. Yeah. Omar was seen on video breezily noting that September 11, 2001, on September 11th, some people did something that caused Muslims to become victims of discrimination. This is a lie. Muslims are not victims of discrimination. This is a lie. It's just a lie. Muslims are not being discriminated against at all. Crenshaw was aghast over Omar's characterization of the brutal attacks as merely some people did something. The Texas representative jumped to his Twitter account on April 9th to slam Omar, saying, first member of Congress to ever describe terrorists who killed thousands of Americans on 9/11 as some people who did something. Ocasio-Cortez felt compelled, of course she did, she's dumb, to come to the defense of the anti-Israel Omar and attacked Representative Crenshaw for the audacity to attack Omar. Yeah, because we're not allowed to criticize people who wear hijabs, right? She's black, she wears a hijab, she's a Wayman, she's got triple privilege. How dare you speak to her, let alone criticize her? You refuse to co-sponsor the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund. Crenshaw scum. That's the tone, that's the tenor of it anyway. Yet you have the audacity to drum resentment towards Ilhan with completely out of context comments. I watched the video, they're not out of context. How can you take that out of context? That's lovely. Whenever the left wants to minimize something one of their dumb compatriots said or something they said, they claim it's out of context, even though they're the ones that say context don't matter. Of course, it matters when it has to do with minimizing their own stupidity, right? Then it matters, but otherwise, no. When it comes to attacking somebody on the right, context doesn't matter. You're evil just for saying it. There's no context. In 2018, right-wing extremists were behind all U.S. domestic terrorist attacks. Why don't you go? That's not true. That's not true. That's a complete and utter fabrication. She's so stupid. She's so stupid. Why are you making a bartender a fucking congresswoman? She's a retard. Almost immediately, Ocasio-Cortez was excoriated for having the audacity to tell a man who lost his eye in service to his country to go do something about terrorism. Yeah, what is she, retarded? Yeah, she is retarded. How dumb is she? Do you see the eye patch, sweetie? It's not because I'm playing a fucking pirate in the next Pirates of the fucking Caribbean movie, you idiot. It's not because I took over fucking Johnny Depp's role in that movie because he was accused of fucking domestic violence, even though it turns out now that he was the one getting beat up. No, it's because I got my eye fucking shot out by some fucking Muslim over there in the Middle East, some Muslim terrorist, while I was fighting terrorism, you idiot. She's so dumb. Oh, I'm wearing this eye patch for the next Halloween party, which isn't until October. Yeah. What an idiot. What an idiot. It goes on to say there's no context in which Ilhan Omar's description of 9/11 is some people who did something is anything but disgraceful. Right? I don't understand this. Does the left understand that not every comment is linked in its validity to what's said before or after it? It's not all based contextually. Some comments are standalone comments that are not made right by what comes before or after. That's like saying, yeah, I banged an 11-year-old girl, but, you don't know the context of the situation. Is there any context where that's okay? It's so stupid. Where's the context there that makes that okay, Ocasio? She seems to think that you can just say, well, you don't know the context. That's always their go-to line, right? You don't know the context of the situation. To minimize and excuse something stupid somebody on the left said. Ridiculous. All right, let's move on. I might want to get even another cup of coffee. My asshole will explode if I drink any more, though. Jesus Christ, it's a diuretic, Gotta be careful. Geraldo Rivera. Is this guy still relevant? My God, I do see him on Fox News sometimes and some of these other shows. Oh, man, he must be afraid of dying. He's in his 70s, Sometimes these old people, they take a job and they start working because they want to stay relevant and they want to stay alive and they don't want to think about their impending death, their mortality. I'm 75. I'm going to keep working because, if I don't, I'll die. Yeah, right. I got news for you, pal. Whether it's in your bed or on the fucking train or in your car driving to work, when it's your time, it's your time. All right. So Geraldo Rivera says Trump's sanctuary city proposal is using people as props to make a political point. So? So what? Excuse me. Allergies. So what? Why is that a bad thing? Why is that bad? By the way, what's wrong with that? This is talking about the sanctuary city policy where he's essentially going to bus everybody to sanctuary cities, all the illegal aliens. You want to come into America illegally? Okay. We'll bus you to Nancy Pelosi's house. Could you imagine? Like 500 buses. Stopping in Nancy Pelosi's little semi-private gated neighborhood and dropping off like 10,000 fucking immigrants in front of her gated house. The high walls around it. Walls don't work. That's why I have 20-foot walls with concertina wire on the top that's electrified. But they don't work. Yeah, my house is on stilts and has no walls and just has a roof, right? Because walls don't work. Okay. Idiot. Yeah, walls don't work, but they're around my house, and I live in but I don't know if she lives in a gated community or not. I drop them all off at the entrance to her gated community. And then the amount of break-ins suddenly skyrocket in that community. I wonder why. Friday on Fox News channels The Five, guest panelist Geraldo Rivera called President Donald Trump's threat to send undocumented immigrants to sanctuary cities a stunt. I don't understand this. Why do you people have a problem with this? You love them. You say that they commit crimes at lower rates than than Native Americans, people born in America, which isn't true, by the way. When they do those numbers, when they calculate those numbers, they include both legal and illegal, and they mix them all together. When you just account for illegal aliens, they actually commit much more crime. And in terms of murder, it's something like 33 per 100,000, when whites are something like 1.4 per 100,000. So they commit way more murder, illegal aliens, even than blacks, okay? Per 100,000, that is. So, yeah, they commit a lot more crime, okay? But you love them. You've made these sanctuary cities for them? I thought the whole point of a sanctuary city was to provide sanctuary. So why do you bleeding hearts have a problem with them coming to your sanctuary cities that you specifically created to provide them sanctuary? It's like I build a sanctuary for birds. I build a bird sanctuary, and then I get pissed off that people are bringing birds to live in it as a sanctuary. Why would I get pissed off that you're bringing people to serve the very purpose that I created this city for, that I named it as a sanctuary city for, which is to be a sanctuary for illegals? Why would you be angry about that? Rivera said, let me start by saying I agree. A lot of what the president is saying is born of frustration because of the lack of cooperation by the Democrats on the border. So Geraldo Rivera has a little more sense than most leftists, but he's still a leftist, right? And he is Latino himself. They are doing nothing to help other than making things more difficult. But this is a stunt. So what? Who cares? I don't care. What do you mean a stunt? So who cares? What does it matter? It's not a stunt. I don't understand this. I mean, why don't you make the Democrats suffer some of the consequences of their actions? They created these sanctuary cities. Why not use them? You might say it's cynical. I say he is helping them fulfill the purpose of labeling these cities as sanctuaries in the first place. I mean, let's be honest here. Liberals love for their hearts to bleed and then act upon those emotions to help people. They love to feel like heroes. They love to be saviors of their fellow man. Well, now we're going to give you millions of people to save. I'm giving you life meaning. Your otherwise useless, worthless fucking life that is, it's just making other people's lives harder. Just so you can feel good about yourself. He continued by saying, this is also illegal. No, it's not. He's the president of the United States, you dummy. He has 100% authority over immigration matters. So here's how it works, immigration in America, which is so retarded. You can hold people for up to 20 days, and then you have to release them into America. So even if you get caught, you'll get free medical treatment for 20 days. You'll get 3 hots and a cot for 20 days, and then they'll release you into America. He's just deciding where they get released. What's the problem? Oh, you don't want them in your neighborhood, Geraldo. I see. Oh, boy. I'm telling you it's illegal. You don't know. You're not a lawyer. You cannot use people as props to make a political point like this. I've never read that law. Could you show me that law? You people as props. They're not even Americans. The Constitution doesn't apply to them, asshole. He added, believe me, the road from the border to... So when Obama says, I want to de-gentrify white neighbors, Obama did this, but the rich people. Remember he was trying to gentrify Republican areas by forcing them to accept immigrants, illegal immigrants, refugees. Obama did the exact same thing. He just sent them to Republican bastion stronghold states, neighborhoods. So it's okay for Obama to do it because evil rich people should provide greater bounty for the poor losers of the world. But when it's sending them to sanctuary cities, which were specifically set up to house and provide sanctuary for these people, oh no, you can't do that, Trump. I love the double standard. I love it. So it's perfectly okay to send the immigrants to places that are traditionally Republican, because nobody wants to go to a Democratic city because they're fucking hellholes. Where are these illegal aliens going anyway? They're going to cities and states that are Republican, that are capitalistic, that actually have money. Right? And at least the ones that want to work, right? The ones that just want to get welfare cheddar, they'll go to California. But yeah, they just want to turn Republican states Democrat. So sure, the states that have the most prosperity are going to be Republican states. So they want to turn those into Democratic shitholes. So that's automatically where the majority of them are going to go, at least the ones that don't want welfare cheddar. And that's okay, right? But when Trump wants to redirect them to our neighborhood, no, can't have that. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to look out her window and see a shanty town? No! But it's perfectly okay for regular Americans to have to see that and walk through piles of shit. And have their cities become disease-infested shitholes. That's okay. That's okay. Oh my. Somebody so old as Geraldo Rivera to be so stupid. He added, believe me, the road from the border to wherever the illegal immigrants are taken will be lined with lawsuits, I guarantee you. Yeah, of course, because that's what you people do, right? That's what you Democrats do. Always taking shit to court, right? Because they've, peppered the fucking courts at various levels with their activist judges. Like that Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Man. So stupid. Anybody out there on Skype, let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about this story. Is Trump right? Is it okay for him to be sending these illegal aliens, who ought to be kicked out of the country, by the way, automatically, to democratic states, democratic cities, sanctuary cities, which are run by Democrats and are hellholes, where most of the people are on welfare? Is it okay for him to send them there directly? I don't understand why you have a problem with this. Why would you be going to court to keep these people out? You love them. You love the illegals and their lice and their tuberculosis-ridden lungs. You love them. You love the measles outbreaks that they bring, the diseases that have been gone and dead and buried in America for 100 years that are now coming back because of your anti-vaccination activism. Vaccination's evil. It creates kids with autism. That's a lie. Fucking lie. Not true. Yeah, you love these people. You love the disease and the crime they bring. You even created sanctuary cities for them. So I created a sanctuary city to provide sanctuary for a specific group of people. And then when that specific group of people is going to be bused to the very place I created to house them and provide sanctuary, I complain. What? I'm going to sue you! Again, the bird sanctuary. I make a bird sanctuary, I don't know, to house injured birds. And then somebody's driving to my place with a whole busload of fucking injured birds. And I threaten to sue them. No, you can't bring those injured birds here. I'm going to sue you to keep those birds out. This is just a fucking political game for you. You're using those birds as props to push some kind of political agenda. Ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. All right, let's move on. Oh, boy. Oh, this is a funny story, but I'm not sure whether or not I should read it or move on. All right, I'll save that for next time, maybe. I don't think I can open it anyway. Yeah, Reddit. Yeah, Reddit's not going to work while I'm running this. Okay. Isn't that crazy, though? You create a sanctuary city, and then you complain. I created it to provide sanctuary for these people, but I don't want these people in my backyard. I'm just virtue signaling to get some votes, don't you know? Of course. Of course. Oh, boy. It won't open. Fuck. Looks like I'm going to have to do a lot of preparation for next show. I have to open this stuff up offline. Cut, paste the text. Oh, pain in the ass. All right, I might end the show here, actually. Bernie Sanders. No. There's other stuff I wanted to talk about, but... Anyway, again, I wanted to say that I make this show Monday to Friday, weekdays. I even produce content on Saturday and Sunday, so I'm producing content 7 days a week. For those of you out there who like to hear the truth, who can appreciate reality, who don't feel a need to hide from it, essentially those who embrace the idea of the red pill, embrace the idea of embracing reality and of embracing realism. You're the people I create content for. And if you appreciate the content I create, I would hope that you would donate. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort to make these shows, and I don't have a lot of free time as it is. So if you can afford to donate, I would hope you would do so. I would hope that you would want to reimburse me for my time and effort and the fact that you are consuming the content I'm creating. So if you understand what I'm saying here and you appreciate the fact that I'm putting in a lot of time, a lot of effort, and you appreciate the fact that you are indeed disseminating or that you are indeed consuming my content, then please consider donating at therealistphilosopher.com/donate, or go follow me on DLive. Again, I really hope you people will go and subscribe to DLive and follow me there, because if you really, really care about red pill, if you really care about the truth, if you care about the dissemination of truth and free speech, this is how you fight it. By making the simple move of moving platforms from YouTube to DLive. Blockchain, it uses blockchain technology. It has monetization based on cryptocurrency. So, it's very, very free platform. Freedom of speech is embraced there. You don't really have to worry so much about being censored, unlike with YouTube. So the more of you go to DLive, it's just DLive, www.dlive.com. More of you go there and sign up, the less power platforms like YouTube, which is now pretty much a monopoly, the less power they have over the dissemination of information. And again, it has monetization, so I'll be able to more effectively fund my work, which is great. You know, time is money in reality. So I put a lot of time into the creation of this show. So hopefully some of you out there appreciate that. And you'll either choose to donate via my website, therealistphilosopher.com/donate, or via DLive, where you can make individual donations. And again, you can buy the cryptocurrency there and use it specifically on that platform using PayPal, using credit card, debit card. It's totally anonymous. And then I get the coin, and then it gets converted back into cash. So I'm anonymous, you're anonymous. It's great. And it comes in different denominations. And so you can donate based on how much appreciation you have for specific content producers. And PewDiePie is there now, too, even. I never liked his content, but I'm too old, I think. I think his content appeals to younger people mostly. Okay, actually it's been more than an hour now, so yeah, and I got to go anyway. So thank you guys for showing up. And again, I apologize for the lateness of starting today's show. You know, sometimes real life, it grabs you by the balls and pulls you back into it. So I really do apologize for that. I had no control over that, though. And tomorrow should start at the normal time. All right, and if you'd like to contact the show, yeah, again, since I stopped using the phone number for people to call in, I know it's difficult. I know it's not as easy because there's no more phone number. You know, I don't have the luxury of a lot of call-in shows, they have a call screener, talks to the person calling in, finds out why they're calling in, screens out the boring people, screens out the trolls, and if these people do say something untowards, out of line, you know, it gets beeped, blipped, and they get kicked off, and then you have somebody else. I don't have that. I don't have that luxury, okay? I don't have a budget like that. I don't have that kind of infrastructure working for a radio station or something. I wish, but I do not, unfortunately. I would love that, but I don't. So the phone number had to go, all right? But you can still contact me via Skype. And my Skype name is The Realist Philosopher. So I hope that you will do that. And also maybe even email me if you want to be on the show. Get my input on whatever subject you might want to discuss. And also I'm all over social media. I'm on Gab. Go to Gab. Sign up for Gab. You know, people complaining about the censorship on YouTube, the censorship on Facebook and Twitter. People complain, but they don't do anything. See, this is the problem with people today. They become too apathetic. They don't care. It doesn't affect me. I don't care. Well, someday it will affect you, okay? The censorship might not be affecting you now because you're not somebody disseminating red pills like me. You're not a content creator, so I don't care. Well, one day, because you ignored defending the freedoms of others, eventually it'll get so bad that it will encroach upon your freedom. So it's very important that you do something to support freedom of speech and freedom in general. Even if it's something as small as going and joining Gab and posting on Gab instead of Twitter. Because if there's enough people who do that, if enough people move from platforms like Twitter and Facebook and YouTube to DLive and Gab, guess what? Platforms like Twitter and YouTube lose their power to control the narrative. They lose their power to censor people. They lose their power to control you. And that's important. Because these tech companies, they operate very much as authoritarians. They claim to be private organizations, so they can do whatever they want. They can censor free speech, but at the same time, they are really the new public square, the new town square, right? So 90% of people do their conversing on social media. The vast majority of people now share and disseminate ideas and information on these social media platforms that claim to be private companies that can censor speech, while at the same time acting as publishers who routinely edit. And that editing goes one way and one way only. They edit out speech and ideas and information from the right that is right-leaning, and meanwhile, anything on the left, perfectly fine. You want to say white people are evil? That's fine. Kill all white people? That's fine. But if you say anything that opposes that, you're gone. And we can do that because we're a private company. Yeah, we're a private company, right. Yeah. Which isn't supposed to censor, by the way, but we do. But we bought off all the politicians in Congress, so, and some in the Senate, too. So, we can get away with that. Yeah. So start moving to other platforms. You can do that. People think they're powerless. You're not powerless. Disempower these people by taking your eyes and your ears away from them and somewhere else. And then they'll start to change, or they will die, which is as it should be. That's it for me. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time. I am the Realist Philosopher, and I wish you a good day.